Keep moving! Watch your step!
Clear the area! Everyone, stand back!
Just as those cold steel circles were about to click, Judge Evelyn Reed's voice, my mentor's voice, cut through the noise like a lightning bolt. A sound I'd heard silence a packed courtroom 100 times. Sergeant Miles, stop immediately. You are about to place Federal Judge Marcus Thorne under arrest. The world stopped. Roger's triumphant sneer froze midair. Miles' hand, holding the cuffs, trembled violently. They clattered onto the pavement with a sound like a small, metallic death knell. He went ghost-white, pale. The blood literally drained from his face as the magnitude of his catastrophe hit him. I reached into my inner jacket pocket, the movement slow and deliberate, and pulled out the official judicial appointment papers, signed by the President of the United States, bearing the federal seal. I held them up, not as a weapon, but as a silent, unassailable fact. Sergeant Miles, Mayor Thompson, I am Judge Marcus Thorne, confirmed by the United States Senate 3 weeks ago. I will be sworn in next month. The gasp that went through the guests was louder than any siren. Roger's mouth opened and closed soundlessly like a fish out of water. A federal judge. That's impossible. They live in D.C. They don't buy houses in regular neighborhoods. His carefully constructed reality, his little local kingdom, was disintegrating around him. Judge Reed stepped forward, her voice controlled but deadly. Mr. Sterling, what is very real is that you have just filed multiple false police reports against a sitting federal official, demanded illegal searches in violation of the Fourth Amendment, and attempted to procure the unlawful arrest of a newly confirmed federal district judge at his own wedding. Those are serious federal crimes. I looked directly at Roger, my voice perfectly leveled, a judicial temperament holding fast despite the rage I felt. Mr. Sterling, this was not a mistake. This was deliberate racial harassment, using false police reports as weapons. Federal courts take civil rights violations very seriously. Then, the political hammer dropped. Chief Davidson and Mayor Thompson, the very men Roger had been name-dropping all night, screeched into the driveway. They practically flew out of the car, their faces the picture of sheer, unadulterated political terror. Judge Thorne, Mayor Thompson rushed forward, voice cracking. On behalf of the entire city, I offer our deepest, most sincere apologies. This is a complete, unacceptable catastrophe of justice. Chief Davidson looked ready to weep. Your Honor, Sergeant Miles is suspended immediately, effective this instant. This department will cooperate fully with any federal investigation. Miles stood there, tears blurring his vision, his badge suddenly feeling like lead. Your Honor, I destroyed my entire career because I listened to false accusations. I have no excuse. U.S. Attorney Carter stepped in, his tone now fully prosecutorial. Judge Thorne, this incident involves clear violations of federal civil rights statutes. The FBI will conduct a comprehensive investigation into this harassment. Roger, finally finding his voice, was begging, not bragging. Your Honor, please. I have a family, a business. I had no idea. Please don't destroy my entire life over this misunderstanding. It was Lena who delivered the final surgical blow. She stepped out from behind me, her voice sharp and precise. You should have considered those consequences before weaponizing the police against your neighbors, Mr. Sterling. The media explosion was immediate. Guests had posted videos, and federal judge harassed at wedding trended nationally within minutes. News vans swarmed the neighborhood. The neighbor relations transformed instantly. The Millers rushed out with flowers, apologizing for their silence. And then, the final, cinematic touch. Patricia Sterling, Roger's wife, approached him with a cold, clear dignity. Judge Thorne, I am filing for divorce immediately. My husband's racism does not represent my values. She removed her wedding ring and dropped a tit, didn't even make a sound in the chaos. But the gesture was devastating. I will not let his hatred destroy our children's future. Federal marshals arrived to secure the scene, turning the chaotic wedding into a protected federal event. We chose love. We chose joy. We chose to resume the celebration. Let's celebrate not just our marriage, I announced to the cheering crowd of judges, attorneys, and marshals, but the triumph of federal law over local prejudice. Roger Sterling's world collapsed in his real estate empire was done. 3 months later, he was convicted of federal civil rights violations and sentenced to 3 years in federal prison. Miles got 2 years. The city settled our civil suit for $10.5 million and, more importantly, agreed to 7 years of federal monitoring and adopted the Thorne Protocol, mandatory federal civil rights training for the entire police force. 2 years later, I presided over my first major civil rights case in the imposing federal courthouse. My wedding day, the day meant to be about 2 people, became the foundation for a legal precedent that protects millions of Americans. It taught me that justice delayed is justice denied, and sometimes, the biggest fight you face on your own front lawn is the one that forces systemic change across the entire country. Now, here's the thing I want to know from you all. When you witness an injustice, a quiet, local abuse of power, just like we do you try to fight it only at the local level, or is it your duty to elevate it? to demand the full weight of federal justice to ensure lasting change for the entire community. Tell me in the comments below, local fight or federal intervention. And if you believe that courage can change the system, hit that like button and subscribe. We'll keep bringing you stories where justice finally prevails. I watched Officer Reed's face in that rearview mirror as he typed Elizabeth Vivian Sterling, Federal Judge, Northern District, into his terminal. The blood just vanished, like someone had pulled a plug. He wasn't just pale, he was white, shaking. The screen filled with my history, unanimously confirmed by the Senate. Thousands of cases, commendations from multiple U.S. Attorneys General. And right there, staring back at him, was the one section that mattered, specialized in law enforcement misconduct. I've sentenced 17 police officers during my tenure. Officer Williams, I continued, my voice conversational, judicial, corruption, civil rights violations, excessive force. I know your type very well. He stammered. I didn't know. You didn't identify yourself. I shouldn't have needed to, I replied. Every person deserves basic dignity. You chose intimidation, violence, and humiliation instead. He ripped the car door open, fumbling with the keys to the cuffs. But the second he touched that door handle, the damage was done. 30 seconds later, the crowd outside realized they hadn't witnessed a drug bust. They'd witnessed the unlawful arrest of a federal official for being black in Buckhead. The videos went viral instantly. His career, his pension, his future, it was all evaporating right there on Peachtree Road. The aftermath, that was the real fight. Chief Dawson and the APD tried to contain it. They put Reed on paid leave, a cushy vacation, while they hoped the public forgot. Then, they tried to bury me, calling me an activist judge, suggesting I had an anti-police bias. They were declaring war, and the first casualty was my husband. The stress, the threat someone left a dead rat on our steps, it spiked Harold's blood pressure dangerously. He collapsed in the kitchen, a stress-induced cardiac event. Sitting by his hospital bed, watching his life hang in the balance, I realized the cost of fighting might be everything. Captain Morris, Reed's supervisor, even came to the hospital offering a deal. Reed retires quietly, no federal lawsuit, no admission of guilt. Your husband needs peace. Judge, he said, sometimes justice isn't perfect. It's about what's practical. I held Harold's fragile hand, looking out at the federal courthouse gleaming on the skyline. For the first time in 47 years, I faced the impossible choice: protect my husband, or protect justice for the countless others Reed would terrorize if I let him walk away. Then Harold stirred, looking right at me, and whispered with newfound clarity, "Fight, don't stop fighting." That was my answer. The tide turned when my friends and colleagues stepped in. 12 federal judges signed an amicus brief supporting my civil rights lawsuit. Dr. Raymond Peters, the best civil rights attorney in Atlanta, took my case pro bono. The system was fighting back, but now, so was the federal government. The smoking gun arrived via an encrypted email, a leaked body camera audio file from Reed's partner, Officer Rodriguez. It was crystal clear. Target acquired at CVS Peachtree. Elderly black female, perfect stats padding. They weren't investigating, they were hunting. The audio confirmed it was a planned criminal conspiracy to meet quotas, and they laughed, saying, "Who's going to believe some old black lady over a police officer? The system's rigged in our favor." That recording blew the APD wide open. 6 months later, justice was served. Reed and Rodriguez were terminated and sentenced to federal prison for civil rights violations and conspiracy. Captain Morris was forced into early retirement after the FBI uncovered years of quota corruption. The city settled the civil lawsuit for millions and, most importantly, adopted the Sanders Protocol banning arrest quotas, requiring mandatory supervisor approval for prescription-related stops, and subjecting a PD to federal oversight. Today, Harold is recovered, and I still walk into that same Peachtree pharmacy. But now, Marcus greets me with respect, and no one looks at me twice. I proved that dignity cannot be handcuffed, that the truth, when backed by resolve, can take down an entire system designed to protect itself. Final, open-ended thought and call to action. So I ask you, when you see that everyday abuse of power, that local injustice, the police quota, the biased HOA president, the boss who thinks they're above the Lord, you fight back with what you have, or do you surrender for the sake of peace? Betty Sanders, Judge Sterling, proved that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is just state the simple truth, because the system is only as strong as the people who choose to fight it. Tell me in the comments below, what would you have done when Officer Reed asked you to save it for the judge? Hit that subscribe button and share this story if you believe that accountability starts with one brave voice.